Dear friends, here we are. This is the countdown. Yes. Today we're 17 days away. I cannot believe it. We're this close to this 12th U.S. Spiritist Symposium in our capital, Washington, D.C. It's a joy. It's like a dream come true. The dream of the good, conquering grounds in our nation. It's actually the first time that we have a national meeting in the English speaking language in Washington, D.C. We've had events before, but none to this extent, none to the extent of the togetherness of several spiritist centers, investing financially and also with human resources to build this beautiful therapeutic event. And, this event is very meaningful because it's at a very critical time on the earth of a transition. We are experiencing exam time on earth. It's that time in which we are either I select the good or I choose the good or not. It's exam time. That's why many people are experiencing great challenges. And our challenge is to bring everyone possible to Washington, D.C., pray together. Togetherness, even social psychologists, they have been studying about these beautiful effects of being together, this emotional contagion to the positive we're speaking, and how we can create this emotional momentum. But it's beyond it. It's about the spiritual level. Majority of the inhabitants of the earth are still discarnated. And certainly they are going to benefit a great deal too from this event. And to tell about this and much more, we have two friends who also became spiritists, and they were born in the United States. Isn't that exciting? I know. If you haven't met them, this is your time. They have been with us at Kardec Radio before, and they are back in another form, and we're very joyful that they are here with us. It's Heather. Here we have Heather with us, and here's Heather. Hello, Heather. How are you?
Good, good. How are you, Vanessa?
Thank you so much for being with us, for sleeping later today, to staying later with us, Heather. Heather, before I introduce the other friend here with us, how do you feel about the fact that you're going to be an active part of this 12th U.S. Spiritist Symposium in our capital, Washington, D.C.?
I'm very looking forward to it. I'm excited, and I have a topic that is going to be promoting human equality. And I thought, wow, I'm going to go to DC and talk about promoting human equality. I feel like it's an honor, actually, to be addressing this very relevant topic in the capital of our nation, in the midst of, quite frankly, everything that's going on right now. It's very, very important, and I think that we need to be discussing this. So I'm pretty excited and looking forward to the event.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Heather. And thank you for. We're going to talk a little more as a teaser about your talk. And now we have here with us, I also want to share that we have here with us Eddie Christie. He's here with us. Thank you so much, Eddie,
Hello.
for being with us. How are you?
Just fine, Vanessa. I'm glad to be here with everyone.
Thank you, Eddie. And how do you feel about participating in this 12th edition of the Spiritist Symposium in the U.S., and especially in our capital, Washington, D.C.?
The first symposium I was at was the 6th in Atlanta, and I was asked to speak there. And I was in the lobby, and someone came up to me and asked me, "How did you hear about this event?" and it was kind of embarrassing to have to say, "Well, I've been asked to speak here," because obviously, you know, I, I, I'm an American, and I might have stuck out for that reason. But it was such a warm, good feeling that you get at the symposium, because we're all really very connected with the topic, with the speakers and what's going on there. Uh, it's it's really I. Uh, I don't know how to express it, but I always thought that the symposium is more like a story that's told from many different angles. And as humans, we're wired for storytelling, and so the way the talks are put together make up like chapters of a book, and it's various ways that this year's about, as we know, about enlightened answers to everyday challenges. And so when we look at it, each speaker is going to bring another chapter to this book. So it's really surprising how wide ranging the topics are, and how diverse the speakers and what they are bringing to light is. And in the end, it turns out to be this wonderful book that we can carry with us away from the day.
Okay, so I'm getting here information from people as well who are watching us, and thank you so much, Addie. I will open the line so the three of us can be here together exchanging thoughts. We have here Angie Stewart, who is here, and Addie, your former friends are still friends, but from the Yes Spiritist Center in New York, right?
Yes, hi Angie.
Yeah, we have Claudia Nunes, who is here as well. Thank you so much, Claudia. So, friends, right now, we've had so many meetings in the United States in other languages other than English. And this one particularly is so special because for 12 years, continuously we have had this meeting, not only in the English language, but bringing the exchange at a level that accommodates the questions that are happening in our country nowadays. And as our dear Heather was saying before, to talk about human equality in the capital, it's so pertaining. A few weeks ago, we were at the march in the DC, March for Our Lives, where the youth was making a point about so much that really belongs to all of us. We wish it were only to them. And now we come in the Spiritist format to remind ourselves of these questions we may have, right, Heather, about human equality. People may be thinking, well, we are we equal? There's still so much inequality in our society, even in the United States. Men and women, when we talk about salaries at work, there is so much talking about races, discrimination, and now we have this conversation that is being raised by the youth. So, what else do you think Spiritism can add to the plate when we talk about human equality?
So one of the pieces that I'm going to address, you talked about the questions, and one of the first things that came to my mind when I was thinking about this topic is that human equality is kind of ironic because we are all unique individuals. We have a lot in common, but we also have a lot of differences. So I want to spend time there speaking about the ways that we are different and the ways that we experience life differently in this world. It's kind of a context for talking about equality, because it helps to frame what equality means. But if you're looking at how we're different, questions are going to arise about why we are so different, because a lot of those ways are from the moment of birth. Whether it has to do with, what you look like, or the kind of family that you were born into, where you were born. There's so much diversity, so much variation in what we can experience in this one lifetime that we're all living, that if you look only at this lifetime, you can't explain why my life could be so different from the get-go than someone else's. And that's one of the things that Spiritism really helps us to understand. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, the knowledge of Spiritism, when it teaches us about our lives as evolving spirits, and how we can apply that to first understanding our differences. And then the moral guidance from Spiritism is going to help us better understand what we can do with this knowledge, and how it transforms us. Because if you understand how each of us are different, and how the experiences that I'm looking at someone else living today might be something I will live in the future, or that I have already lived, it's an equalizer. And those have a big impact on how I even think of myself. So pride, for example. Pride and selfishness, that Spiritism shows us, are our two biggest weaknesses. The Spiritist vision, the Spiritist knowledge, all these concepts kind of give a blow to that pride and selfishness, and encourage us to raise our level of understanding of one another, and see how we are, even in spite of all the ways we're different, we are so much the same as children of God. We are equal as children of God, and we need to start treating each other that way. So, that's how I feel Spiritism helps. And of course, we're going to delve a little deeper into that during my talk.
But that's beautiful. You're saying that. Your last statement says it all. It's the biggest teaser. We're children of God, and we have the same rights. We're all the same. So how can that change humanity? Heather, we're just at the Spiritist Society of Virginia, and we had a talk on selfishness. And one of the questions and answers of the spirits, Kardec asked, how can we uproot selfishness? And they say, well, first of all, as you study spiritual things, you become less attached to material things. But also, when we reform, they say, our organizations that is still inside, passions.
Yes.
So here we are, as Kardec predicted, Spiritism having a role in social transformation, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and here comes Eddie Christie as well, who will talk at the very symposium, and I'm bringing him here to us, just as a teaser, Eddie, about peacemaking skills. It's not easy because we're talking about transformation. People have different ways of seeing and feeling. So how can we, as a teaser, Eddie, how can we visualize peacemaking skills?
Well, yes, it was a challenge when I first looked at this, because peacemaking we normally think about at the very large level. We think about world peace, we think about peace between countries, or peace between communities, racial peace between various races, and as I kept on looking at it, I said, really, this comes down to a very personal and individual practice of peace that that is a requirement of each one of us, because these large, grand gestures, there are people who, as we know, who have done this, Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, who actually was assassinated 50 years ago today.
Yes.
This date, 50 years ago, and there's so much work yet that he started that is continuing now, and beautiful social transformation that has come out of his work. But as I was researching and reflecting on this, I realized that really peacemaking starts with each one of us. And when we have peace in our homes, when we have peace with the people that we work with, people that we even pass on the street, or someone that we might bump into in the grocery store, that each encounter that we have with people is really causing or bringing about peace in the world. And when we think about that, when we realize that it really is within our power, we don't have to wait necessarily, as beautiful as the work, as I said, of Martin Luther King Jr. is, we don't really have to wait for someone to inspire us. We can learn to be inspired ourselves by extending peacemaking to each one of the people that we meet.
Yes. You know, you're just making me feel like singing, but I won't sing. You know that song, "The peace in the world begins with me," right?
Right.
When I choose love, I know I can be happy. But you know, that would be great to sing it. But I would like to ask you, because your topics are so phenomenally beautiful, that I look forward to learning more at the symposium with you. Many people ask this question, Heather and Eddie. You know, why is this important? If we have all these books and we have internet, what's the difference of being present at an event like this? I mean, do you remember the first time you participated at a symposium or a meeting of Spiritism in English? Can you share a little bit of your thoughts in that regard?
Well, I think I've been sensitive to this for a long time, because I'm a lover of music, and it became very clear to me that the difference between listening to music on the headphones and listening as a concert, or even listening to music on the radio, where you're very aware that other people are listening at the same moment, that they could be listening to that music at any time they want. But the fact that there's a community of people doing the same thing at the same time draws enormous power, and you could feel it. It's something that you could feel as you sit in the auditorium, that there's a focus that happens in the audience, and with everyone present, all the people who are helping to really bring the message across. And so it's very different from reading a book. This really brings people together and intensifies the learning, because everyone is focused and in the same direction, and it causes you to be even more inspired.
Yes, thank you, Eddie. And for you, Heather?
I think he hit the nail on the head. I wholeheartedly agree with what he said, and it's all about the exchange, and part of all that is the energy. You know, the energy that's created with everything that he just mentioned is very powerful, and people also take in information in different ways. Even the same information a single individual can take in a different way. I can read something in a book and think about it in a certain way, or take some particular aspect of it away with me, and I can hear someone else say it with a different intonation in a different context, many different things. that can lead me to, look at some other aspect of the overall topic. So I think there's a lot that you get out of being part of this kind of event. We also meet new people. I mean, how many people from the ones that you just know online that, maybe you've interacted with through social media to just other spiritists that, you didn't know were out there, or people that are new to spiritism that who knows what conversation you have with them might pique their interest or help them with some doubt that they might have, or I don't know, just friends and new people, the energy, lots of stuff. It's really great about the symposium, and like he said too, I love the different talks, all with a common theme, but each speaker just brings something different. It's a lot of fun, a lot of learning.
A lot of learning. And
Yes.
you're right. Different takes that become complementary, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for those who are specifically in this country and don't speak Portuguese or Spanish and are hearing for the first time these beautiful teachings that are so invitationally transformative, do you feel like a meeting in this format and with such exchange would be, um, making a difference?
Sure. I mean, I think it for me, the first time that I ever got to go to an event like this and see all the talks given in English, it's really nice, and to be able to, I think that even if you speak the other languages, hearing something in your own native language is different. And if you don't speak the other languages, you don't have a chance to do something like this unless it's made available to you. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm happy to be part of making that possible.
I think also having it in native language is a way of respecting people, because each place is going to bring its own understanding and its own light to the doctrine. That's the one thing that's attracted me for many years, ever since I've been exposed to Spiritism. The one thing I'm attracted is that it's so varied, and each person, each country, no doubt too, brings a certain light to the doctrine that that will expand it in a certain way, and there'll be certain things that touch people, because every country has its own history, and certainly the United States has its own history as well. And so the topics that are going to appeal to people, topics that are going to touch their hearts, are going to be different. It surprises me a lot of times because my wife is Brazilian, and so she will share a lecture in Portuguese. Now my Portuguese is not that great, but I can pick my way through it. But I realize that what means something to her is very different from what I get out of the same lecture that she hears. And then we hear something in English, and something similar happens, even though her English is very good and she's been here for many years. Each country really does shed its own light, and the respect that this allows, that these kinds of symposiums in native languages provide for people, is really invaluable.
That's beautiful. Don't make me cry, Addie and Heather.
We'll try not to.
But so let us wrap up, because we're almost at the end of this beautiful countdown, 17 days away. And since we're talking about human equality that really creates peace and visualization of peacemaking skills, there is a message in the book Living Spring by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier that says, let us follow peace. And he quotes from Peter, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 11. Seek peace and follow it. And the first statement is, many people search for peace. Very few try to follow it. And he continues on and on until he says, peace is not physical indolence. It is health and spiritual joy. Peter said, seek peace and follow it. However, in whatever situation we may find ourselves, there is no real peace without Christ within us. And the formula for integrating our souls with Jesus is invariable. Let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Unless we as human learners adapt our efforts to the renewing pulse of the Divine Master, instead of peace, we will continue to have an ongoing war inside our hearts. So that's Emmanuel's words. Take on it to inspire us and say, let us unite ourselves and keep on following the pathway to peace till we get to Washington, D.C. in 17 days. Okay? So who'd like to lead us? Maybe Ed plays the piano and
I would love to, except
I
I'm not at
know you.
home and there's no
I
piano here. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, but we would love to hear you say a prayer, Vanessa. You always use
Oh,
so beautifully.
thank you. May I pass it on to you, Heather? Is that okay?
Is that how this works? Like a thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We'll be with you, Heather. I'm gonna play the Ave Maria, not play, just play, okay? We'll be
Okay.
with you.
Dear God and our beloved friends of the spirit realm, thank you so much for this opportunity to join for a few moments with friends, already lifting our thoughts and beginning to feel the vibration of peace and fraternity. Only the beginning of what this event will be able to offer. We know that hard work has been done for quite some time to make this important event possible, not only here in our material world, but also from the spirit realm. After all, life is an ongoing collaboration between the two planes of life. And it is truly an honor to be part of such a collaborative effort to bring consolation and encouragement, not only to others, but even to ourselves, so that we may all cultivate this tranquility and bring it to the lives of those around us, changing our perceptions and changing our ability, the ways that we interact with others, treat others, and learn day by day to love a little more. We thank you, God, for helping us with this wonderful conversation, and we ask that you bring peace to all of those who have joined us from places around the world. Amen.
Thank you, Heather, for such a touching prayer. Right, Addie? Thank you, Addie. Thank you, friends. And we hope to see you in 17 days in Washington, D.C. Okay?
It's around the corner.
It's around the corner. Have a
Yes, it
beautiful
is.
night and let's
Thank you.
enjoy. Thank you also to the listeners and to those who are with us. Spread the news, register, And let us meet in 17 days. Thank you, friends. Until tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank